Welcome to DVR Club, the AV Club's TV recap show. I'm television editor Erik Adams, and alongside me
is assistant editor Becca James.
And we are here to talk about the new season premiere of Hannibal, and it's called Antipasto. All right, so before I get too far into fake accents and go all the way down the Mario Brothers pipe, let's talk about top storylines. Hannibal, Bedelia, they're in Europe.
Yes.
And all the while, there's this sort of like hazy, dreamlike thing going on. Bedelia is maybe trying to escape. It's such a weird episode.
It's not what I expected. I thought, or I hoped rather, they were gonna pick up right after that slaughter. I know we, follow everyone. I was hoping Alana Bloom was dead, so I was waiting for that. And instead we were over in Europe, and the whole thing I felt very disconnected. It wasn't as easy to pick up as usual, and to be fair, I don't think Bedelia's been featured as much until this moment. Mm-hmm. So it was like a new character too, to try and get into and almost remember some of her smaller scenes from previous episodes.
And the episode tries to do that. It tries to build a case of why she would have followed Hannibal to Europe. And so we get that flashback to her killing an unrecognizable Zachary Quinto. One of the most disturbing scenes from a very disturbing episode is her taking her arm out of his mouth in reverse. But Hannibal has one up on her. He has leverage, and that's why she came. She's not complicit, though there is that really great line at the end of the episode when he kills the student. He asks if she's observing or participating.
Are you in this very moment observing or participating?
Observing.
And I think that's kind of her whole question for the beginning of this season. But you mentioned that you didn't like the episode. I love it. I think it's one of my favorite episodes of Hannibal, so I think that sets us up for a little counterpoint. Becca, why didn't you like this episode?
I think because it wasn't what I expected, which is maybe horrible as a viewer, but also typical. Like I said, I really wanted to see what had happened with everyone after the season finale. And so ending up in Europe was a little unexpected, even though they showed that plane scene before. And then for the most part, I think it's because they put us in Bedelia's mindset almost throughout the whole thing, which I hate. I want to be Hannibal, I want the upper hand, I want to know where we are and why and what's going on. And so it was very weird because you feel just as hazy as she does, and you don't necessarily know where it's gonna go.
I mean, that's a very powerful thing for a TV episode to do, is to place you in the shoes of a character, not only just a character, but a character we barely know. All throughout the episode, I could feel the confusion, the sense of being displaced, the utter terror that Bedelia feels throughout that scenario. If I was her, I would have left earlier during the Dante oratory. Like, I don't know why she waits for that guy to show up to get out of there. And I think that's one of her fatal flaws. But also, if she leaves, we don't have a season. So the next segment is one that's always fitting for Hannibal because things are always being used to kill people or cut off of people. So let's get into an inanimate object of the week, which is the leg of Abel's that Hannibal serves up and forces Eddie Izzard's character to eat.
You really are the devil.
That was good. I mean, that's obviously reminiscent of the movies and the text. I can't remember Ray Liotta's character in the movie, his name, but it's the same idea when he's eating his own brains at the dinner table. Mm-hmm. So I think that was really well done. I love Eddie on that show too. Those two play very well together.
And it's, as this show has gone on more and more, the food just looks better and better. And I know you say that you want to sympathize with Hannibal, you want to be Hannibal. I mean, that was a pretty good looking leg, right?
Yeah, that was great. And that's the best part about it. It's gruesome in a very tasteful way. Like, that's probably the best part about Hannibal.
And there's all these scenes of Bedelia eating like oysters at the table. And it's like, why are you eating oysters? You've got these gourmet dishes. Sure, they're people, but...
That was funny though, because they mentioned then their dinner guest brings up that he's basically feeding her what would make her taste better. Mm-hmm. And I think she has that moment where she wonders, she's put a lot of trust in Hannibal and like going to Europe with him and whatnot. just assuming that she's somehow safe.
Yeah.
So I think that was a moment where she questioned that.
And now it's time for Speculation Corner. Becca, you didn't like where this episode went. Where would you like to see the next episode and the rest of the season go?
I need Will Graham to come back. I think Will might finally get it. I mean, he has a lot of weak moments in season 1 and 2 where he's still going along with things that you're like, by this point, wouldn't you kind of be questioning it or backing out? But I think he's ready, and I think they'll butt heads a lot more.
This season, I feel like, gets to be what I've been looking forward to, which is sort of like the Hannibal on the lam kind of deal. Like, this is where we get to pursue Hannibal, presumably get him into the situation where he's advising from prison as he is in Red Dragon and in Silence of the Lambs. I feel like there's so many opportunities open, and the way that there's so many question marks set up by this season premiere makes it seem like anything's possible.
That, and I think you bring up a good point about them chasing him. I think that's another reason Alana Bloom will be dead, is because I don't know, it sounds so awful, and maybe I need to watch season 1 and 2 again, but I don't think her skills are up to par. Like, she was dating him, and not in a way where it was like, oh, I'm dating him to get closer to him so we can, like, solve this. She just had no idea, so I think she's dead. She's not gonna be, I just can't imagine her being of any huge help when they're, like, trying to capture him.
Maybe she's in a hospital bed. Maybe she's a ghost. Maybe she only exists in flashbacks. We won't know until we check in with Hannibal yet again. Maybe we'll see you back here on DVR Club for another installment of Dissecting Hannibal. I've been Erik Adams.
And I'm Becca James.
Bye.